I got the walk, there's a longboard walk. I know the talk, the longboard talk.
G'day, how's it going? I'm Weeksy. Welcome to Oz Longboarding. This is episode 6 for 2021. Tonight's episode entitled Girls Can't Surf. And of course, it's a tongue-in-cheek, ironic, kind of sarcastic statement, but it also is the title of a brand new movie. And tonight, the star of that movie, well, one of the stars of that movie is joining us, Pauline Menczer, which is fantastic. Almost said Pauline Hanson. Sorry, Pauline. Don't know where I was going with that. Another former world champ, Nancy Emerson, is joining us tonight as well. We've got even legendary surf forecaster Mike Perry's in the background, but he doesn't want his face to be seen, so we won't pick on him too much. But before we go to our fantastic female lady guests, I think Tracy Holmes from the ABC may be joining us shortly as well. Let's say a quick g'day to our other two. Well, I'll tell you what's been going on in WA. We've had a lot of wind and a lot of rain, and commiserations to the town of Kalbarri in particular, but also Geraldton and Carnarvon to our north. Kalbarri got smashed over the weekend. We had a little cyclone come a lot further south than it normally does. And in fact, the town where I live was code red Sunday, Monday, so we didn't get it down here. But for those who have friends and family in Kalbarri, Geraldton, those northern areas of WA's surf coast, check in with them, make sure everyone's doing okay. Little surf looks like it's going to be great tomorrow, which is fantastic as well, because I haven't had a surf for over a week. Sean McEwen, how has the beach been on the Gold Coast there in sunny Kirra?
Mate, we've had since last week, or the last show, just fantastic surf. It's been as good as it gets. We had a bit of size for a few days, dropped off a bit, but Kirra's there's a bank out the back there that's looking all time. It's not the hollow Kirra that we used to have years ago, but it's a heap of fun, breaking inside. Fair crew on it, as there is anywhere nowadays, but just been some perfect days, but cool in the mornings. But yeah, that's why we live on the Goldie.
Well, I liked it better last week when it was raining and you had no waves for some reason. It's because I haven't been surfing. And Matty Cook down in Cronulla. How's our Sydney report, mate? How have you been since last week?
Yeah, it's just started getting a bit cooler now, so we're all getting our wetsuits and it's jackets on, and we've had actually some amazing south swell just come through in the last couple of days. It's quite big actually down here at the moment. It's awesome actually. It's happening.
Now, I know you're particularly excited to see our special guest tonight. That was great to see. You younger generation actually have learned a bit of history. But I'm kind of what they call in TV stretching at the moment, because Kira Molnar is in the background trying to log on. But
you won't.
There she is. Are you at Touch Footy, Kira?
You won't be able to hear me. I'm on my way there.
Okay, well, I'll leave you alone. Jump back on, turn your camera on once you're more comfortably placed. That brings us perfectly to tonight's two special guests, two world champions and of women's surfing. And Nance, I haven't seen for quite a little while, since the Australian Longboard Open a couple of years ago. She always brings Phyllis O'Donnell down the last couple of years to bring her down to the comp and say good day. But welcome to Oz Longboarding, Nancy Emerson, first of all. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good, thank you.
And so tell us
I wasn't a world champion, just to correct that.
Oh, sorry, World Championship Tour surfer. Sorry, let's put it that way. I thought, how close did you get to a world title?
Well, I was fully sponsored back in the late 70s when it all started, and it was Hawaiian Dredging and Construction, and they didn't want me to do the South Africa Brazilian leg of the tour because of apartheid, because they knew I was a Baha'i and I believe in equality of all people and men and women, etc. And they didn't want me to get in trouble.
We've spoken a few times over the years, Nance. I can't imagine you'd be the sort of person to rock the boat in the slightest. But
I might have went and drank water from the black fountain and not the white one.
Yeah.
No, that was a long time ago.
So, of course, your lifetime of advocacy for equal rights and opportunities for all is dovetails perfectly into tonight's conversation. And if you haven't yet seen it, I haven't been able to yet. I haven't been allowed to leave my town.
I haven't seen it yet.
I did have plans on Sunday to go down to Perth and watch it with my son, actually, Pauline, but a fantastic new documentary style movie has hit the shelves, and it's called Girls Can't Surf, and it's all about some of the struggles and some of the hurdles that have to be overcome by women's professional surfers to try to find their place alongside the men and not just in the bikini competition. So welcome to the show, Pauline Menczer. How are we?
I'm great. How are you?
Really good, mate. I'm super stoked to see you, and been really excited to see over the last couple of years, even before the movie came out, you're finally starting to get some acknowledgement for the incredible dominant performance and at the very pointy end of surfing that you put in for many years. I'm sort of the same vintage as you, but I was kind of the grommet just below your age group, sort of watching the world tour. And it was always so proud to see the Aussie girls smashing in the surf. So congratulations on everything you've done, but also equally importantly, congratulations for finally getting some of the recognition for some of your amazing achievements.
Yeah, it was funny because the last couple of years I've been diagnosed with a very rare autoimmune disease. It's called pemphigus vulgaris. And basically, arthritis attacks your joints, whereas this attacks your skin. And so I had blisters all over my body, and they just never heal. And my skin will just break really easy. So I wasn't able to surf. And so you can imagine I spent a lot of hours in bed laying around and thought about my life and my achievements. And I thought, wow, I felt like I really achieved a lot in surfing and my sport, and can't believe I didn't really get that much recognition. And to come through that, I basically came through that only a couple of weeks before Girls Can't Surf was launched. And I was lucky when they did the filming, because I do have sores everywhere, including on my face. The times that they did the filming, the scabs just conveniently fell off for the movie. So it was great. But it was just so nice to be recognised. And the day that I saw it released in Sydney, because we didn't really get, we had a little showing, but it was just on a TV, so you don't get that same impact as the movie. And the day I went to watch it, I was like, wow, this is really, really good. And I had a couple of people come with me that didn't surf as well. And they said, this is just absolutely phenomenal, this film. It touches, everything, whether it be people who are gay or have an illness or their struggles. It just it shows all of our lives, like different struggles we all had and different challenges we had on tour as well. And just the way they all put it together, because it goes from footage to now to back to old footage, and it cuts in and out. And the way that they've edited it and put the music to it and just everything about it is pretty amazing. And right after the first showing, I've had an Instagram account, but it was for my Chihuahua. And then I just changed it. I changed it to, my account. And only really put a couple of pictures on here and there and started to learn Instagram. And then I just started getting all these messages, and I couldn't believe how many people were really touched by this film. And, again, just different kinds of reactions. But the thing that I really like the most is that everyone has been really inspired by the film, and you can tell by the messages I'm getting. And I try to reply to every message, but I've had hundreds of messages, so it's been a lot of work, but just well and truly worth it, because I'm also happy with the acknowledgement, but just to feel the love from everyone has just been absolutely phenomenal.
Interesting that you say it applies across a number of different areas of life, because really, again, I have been told by a couple of friends who've seen the movie that the impression, what they thought the movie was going to be like by watching the preview, the movie itself was different. So yes. I've watched the preview. I haven't watched the movie. I'm in a little town that doesn't have a cinema, and I haven't been allowed to go to Perth. So, but give us a synopsis. Is it a story of trial over adversity? Is it right over wrong? Is it big versus small? Or was it really, through your own personal experience, was it a matter of being taken seriously in a world that wants to sort of put you off to the side? Because like the whole thing about the girls not getting
it's everything. it's our own personal journeys. So, it's got like probably about 6 or 8 main characters in it, and we all tell our own journey. And then we tell our journey of what it was like on tour together and the struggles that we had. And some of the main struggles was just getting the competition to let us surf the same waves the guys were. Like, basically, the way they looked upon women surfing was, the women are on now, it's high tide and shitty and windy, and we're going to have the beauty pageant on now, so let's put the women surfers on. So basically they're saying, our own organisation was saying, don't watch the women surfing, look at the bikini contest. And that kept happening. And so a lot of us got absolutely fed up with them not listening to us and not doing things. So what we did was, the movie kind of pinpointed to one event in South Africa, and I was sitting on the beach and I said to the girls, let's just not paddle out. Just don't paddle out. I tried to do it a couple of times, but some of the girls just got scared and went. But this day, no one paddled out, and they couldn't run. And so after that happened and we didn't get fined, because we nearly always got fined when we did anything out of the norm, we realised we had a voice. And so from that point on, we managed to get an organisation of the girl surfers on tour, like a whole group of us. And then we picked our own representative, and then that representative would go forward and help, represent all of us. And, even like talking to sponsors, and like, I remember just getting so angry at all of us at the industry for not supporting us. And then finally they started making women's clothing, and instead of giving it to the women, they ended up giving more to the men. And so, we're just constantly fighting those battles. But the way it's been put together, there is a bit of surfing in it, but it's, it touches so many emotions. Like, you'll watch it and you're guaranteed to laugh, cry, be angry, and at the end, very inspired. So it really touches every emotion. And
that was a great pitch. That was a
yeah,
great
I haven't.
pitch.
It is amazing though, seriously. And there's been people that have watched it 2 or 3 times already. They've paid 2 or 3 times to go to the movies and see it, because each time you go, because it's so quick, like it's from one point to another to another to another. You can watch it a lot of times and see things that you didn't see the first time. So yeah, it's very successful so far. So we'll see what happens when it goes worldwide.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Is it only available in Australia at the moment? Has it only been released here so far?
It's just been released in New Zealand this week.
Are you going to be able to still travel to South Africa? You didn't say anything too bad about Wendy, did you?
No, actually, this is another thing that's really lovely about the movie is a lot of us girls have all reconnected. And then on my Instagram, I wanted to make sure that the older generation realised that we are thinking about them as well. But Christopher Newlis just wanted to pinpoint the 80s and 90s. And it's actually brought a lot of the older girls in my generation together as well, because we've all been messaging each other in the background. And I just think this movie's done a lot. So even the one lady watching it, and she was so peeved that I didn't get prize money at the end of the year, like the bonus money, they get cars and all that kind of stuff now. And I also didn't have sponsors most of my career. And so she decided to do a GoFundMe page, and they set an amount around $25,000, and it reached $60,000. And I decided anything after 25,000 to donate that money to some causes that I believe in. And yeah, even people knew that it was going to causes, and they still kept giving, and it managed to raise $60,000. So it's pretty amazing.
I think as one person, as a gesture, that's an amazing thing. But as an inspiration or as a lesson to follow for others, I think, it's taken a long, long time, but isn't it fantastic that as a result of getting on a bit of fiberglass and going and writing it really, really well, you're now able to shine some light into a dark corner of the world. I think that's an amazing, powerful thing. And I'm really glad on your behalf that you've had a chance to feel that, because people get carried around on shoulders and exalted for being these amazing people, but behind the scenes they're not all that great. But I think there's a few stories coming through like your own, where it's kind of that inspirational hero, where there's just a good, nice person doing amazing things. And
yeah, it's the most amazing feeling to inspire people, and to know that this film has done that and inspiring hundreds of people, thousands of people. It's just such a good feeling.
And that linking between the generations as well. Nance, you spent a lot of time with Phyllis O'Donnell, of course, from Kingscliff, and she's a very proud Kingscliffian. Is Phyllis going along to watch the movie? I reckon she'd have some things to say. I hear she used to hold court a little bit out in the water in her day.
Absolutely. I met Phyllis in 1967 when she came to Makaha for the Makaha International. And so I've known her a long time, but she's in Bupa in Pottsville, and she can't get out. It's really tight, and I don't believe in all those shots and things, so I can't at the moment. I used to be able to pick her up and take her out, but at the moment I can't. But I wanted to say, I'm a different generation than Pauline, and I didn't feel all that stuff. But being from Malibu, California and Hawaii, people were always, as a young girl, as a teenager, people have always been really supportive, because I used to surf Topanga in Malibu a lot, in the mid 60s. And I had, people like Johnny Fain and John Baker, and I didn't know Mikey at the time, but people, I don't know, everybody they looked after us, and they treated women really well at Malibu and Topanga. We were, I don't know, I never felt any different, and I was, raised to treat everyone super equally, no matter what color, what culture, where they came from.
I think it's very, very definite difference in the cultural aspect from my experience of the beaches in Australia over the last 50 years. A female out surfing was such a novelty. You'd either have someone being very condescending, going, "Here, gorgeous, let me show you how to get out here," or they'd be the exact opposite, like, "What are you doing out here? You're a woman." And so that's the Australian experience. And you go to somewhere like Makaha, where it's like the whole family's out floating around together in the water. I think that's changed in Australia now, but certainly, Pauline, at the start of your career, was it still that situation of, because let's say you're at 17 when you won the world amateur title? Is that right?
Yeah, 18.
18?
Yeah.
And then only 3 years later, you're world champion. So obviously you're still a young woman, but how did you go being a grommet surfer, a young female surfer, when you're starting out on the beaches of Australia in those times? Because it felt to me like women kind of weren't welcome back when I started surfing.
Oh, it was so tough growing up in Bondi. Like, I got kicked and punched and told to go in, and yeah, it was pretty bad. But
is that just because you were surfing better than the guys?
4 or 5 guys that were really nice. So because I always still had that little bit of support there, it kept me going. But yeah, there was times I did want to give up, because, to get kicked in the stomach by a guy when you're a kid as well was just incredible. And it was funny because someone found a newspaper article only a couple of weeks ago and sent it to me. I think I shared it on my Insta page, because I never named people, but this person was named, and I'm like, yeah, bugger it, I'm going to show them, like, you did wrong back then, and you might be an okay person now, but people need to see that kind of behavior is just not acceptable. And funny enough, though, I don't see that kind of aggression anymore, but I've noticed there's no respect in the water when it comes to like riding waves. People are just dropping on each other now. They don't seem to understand it's the person who's on the inside of the wave, it's their wave. And like I said, I've been out of the water a couple of years and just surfed back at the pass, and I was just blown away that there's just that respect's gone.
There's no etiquette at all.
No, and it wasn't, normally you say, oh, it's a guy dropping in, but it was it was a lady that dropped in on me, and I'm like, hey, off you get, hey. And she just looked at me and went, sharing's caring. And I'm like, no, it's not. Get off. I've been sick for 2 years. I want my own way.
Sharing's rude.
Yeah. And
Go
I
down
just
the
was
golf
blown
course
away.
and
I'm like,
yeah, go down the golf course and try and tee up next to the person next to you, like while they're
yeah.
yeah. People don't seem to
Anyway,
get it. But I think that's a sense of entitlement there seems to be now. No one tells kids off when they're naughty. No one pulls people up on things. Everyone's too scared to offend anyone.
yeah.
You come to my little town, there's not many of us that surf here, but everyone knows the rules. You wait your turn and you get in line. But yeah, I think even when you walk into a shopping centre down in Perth, certainly, you get these big groups of people walking shoulder to shoulder. Everyone seems to be told now, do whatever the hell you want and
Yeah.
forget everybody else, sort of thing.
But I really think it comes from parents that don't, they don't teach their children manners, because it's respect and manners. And, when I came to Australia the first time and we were competing, they treated us, this was back in 1977, they treated us really welcoming, and we got unreal waves at Snapper and the Coke contest at Narrabeen and Bells, and we were treated, I thought, really fairly, especially being in a country that can be chauvinistic, but you don't, you need to be grateful for, being here, and, the first time you're doing pro surfing, and to, just be respectful. And I was sitting with Bill Bowman, and I can't remember his name, the guy, the head of Stubbies, and we were watching the news, and there was Channel O back then, and there was 3 of the pro women surfers that went on, and they were totally outspoken. It wasn't the right timing to do what they did, and I just couldn't believe what they said. And the director, not Bill, but the other, I can't think of his name, he looked over at me, and I was just, my eyes just, because you're invited to a country to compete, and maybe a country is a certain way, but you have to give it time to grow. And so we lost the Stubbies the following year. They didn't bring the women back because of that. And I don't know, does anybody on the panel remember that? Probably the oldest.
I was only 6 then. I'm a 71 model. But
Yeah.
I've heard the story before. But I guess, and Sean McEwen through the Australian Longboard Surfing Open was one of the very first competitions in Australia. In fact, were you the first, Sean, to offer equal prize money for the women and the men?
I believe so. Certainly in longboarding.
In longboarding,
yeah. You were there when we had the discussions with Rachel Tilley, who presented a case for the girls to actually get equal prize money. This was a couple of years before WSL, and we were a WSL sanctioned event. She put a argument to us about the fact that the girls, although their surfing ability might not be the same as the guys, they were more marketable. We're drawing in just as big crowds and everything. And I sat down and thought about it, and I went, we're giving prize money to the guys and sort of going, because you surf really well. The girls, half as many go out. But then again, if you ask the girls to do anything, we've got to want you to meet some sponsors. We want you to do some social media or whatever. They were willing to do it, before the guys would just duck and run. And so from a marketing point of view, they were well worth giving the money to as well. So,
and that's the reality of any sport. I mean, obviously, professional female netball players get paid more money than professional male netball players, for example. But Pauline, I get the feeling that what you're after was just a level playing field. What you said, if you hadn't brought it up, I was going to bring it up because as a commentator, I'm at the events all the time. When they do the little shuffle around, it's like, well, oh yeah, the waves are going to be crap then. It's going to be onshore. We'll put the women on over there. That would have been really frustrating when you want to put on your best elite level performance.
Oh yeah, it was just ridiculous because they basically would do a round of the men, and they say that you're supposed to finish a round. You do the whole round, but then all of a sudden the wind came up and the surf would be bad. They'd just like stop the guys in the middle of the six heat and then throw us out again. So yeah, it was just fighting all the time for that. And because we didn't have the sponsors as much as the guys did, we especially needed the prize money. And then we would argue to get more prize money, and they said there's not as many women as men, but we weren't allowed to have any more women in the event as the men. So it was just like, that kind of stuff happening. And then same with the industry, the clothing companies and stuff. We kept saying, why don't you make women's clothes? Like, I've worked in a surf shop since I was a little kid, and women are the ones that are mainly in the shop buying the stuff. Why don't you make women's clothes? And they just refuse to. And then if you watch the movie, you'll see exactly the time when board shorts came out, and they realised, wow, our best-selling shorts are actually a size 28. And they don't understand why there's so many 28s. And they realised it was women buying all the shorts. So then they took on Lisa on board and started making shorts.
Yeah, with the little piping on the stitching, I remember them very well.
Yeah.
But and that's what I find incredible. And of course, today there's, you couldn't have an argument about prize money because the market share is there and the depth of talent is there. Do you think there was enough surfers? And again, I'm just asking this as a neutral question because I never had anything to do with contest surfing as a young surfer, other than watching it, and reading Tracks magazine and stuff. Do you reckon there was the depth of talent back then to have been running a 44?
I think so, but what happens is, it's the usual story. If there isn't enough money and there's nothing to strive for, a lot of these good surfers didn't want to go. Like, I had some really good friends that were in the amateur events, and they all stopped because there's like, what's the use? There's no money in it. And then they would go, be a couple of people I know became lawyers and teachers and stuff like that. But they would have loved to have done the tour. So yeah, there definitely was the depth.
Matty Cook, you can relate to that, can't you, mate?
Yeah, well, in longboarding, that's kind of where we're at right now. So, but Pauline, growing up in in your time, without any sponsors, and how the hell did you get to all these events? Like, what were you doing? I mean, it sounds so difficult, and all the struggles that you would have gone through. I can't even imagine. What were some of the things you were doing to get to these places?
So I became famous at being a wheeler and dealer, and I'd buy things like 20 pairs of Levi jeans and get them for $25 each in America, or $20, and then go to France and triple my money on it. Same with I've got this really cool bike in the States for $200 and sold it for $1,500. And I got so known for being a wheeler and dealer of just buying and selling anything. People would joke, like one day Serena Brooke goes, "Hey, Pauls, look, I just found this wooden spoon on the beach in Japan. You could probably sell that and buy your dinner tonight." So it kind of became an ongoing joke. But the reason I got those skills is I grew up in a very poor family, and to get anything, we had to work for it. And so even if we wanted pocket money, we had to go collect cans and bake cakes. And I even did street cleanups. My mum would have 2 kids on one side of the road and 2 kids on the other side of the road, and we'd just scour the streets and sell whatever we could in a garage sale.
Wow.
There you go, Cookie. Toughen up, mate. Toughen up.
Hey, that is how inspirational. For me to hear that, you're a world champion, and I can't believe that was happening, and that you had to go through that.
We even did stuff like sleep in tents, sleep in my board bag in the contest area, 6 of us in a one car with 25 boards on the roof, anything to save money. and then, you know, would live on things like just bread, like bread and whatever. That's why we all laugh when we're in France. We got like dough belly because we're not eating enough of other food.
If you get the bread and squeeze it up really tight, it's like chicken. That's my little tip for the day. Now, before we came on air, Nancy was mentioning the fact that Pauline's been getting some sensational waves just lately in a rather controlled environment. And unlike his hair, which is totally uncontrolled, this is Pauline, this is Nathan Riverland in Victoria, has joined us after footy training. And Nathan actually works at the Tullamarine Wave Pool where you've recently been getting barreled. Hey, Nate.
How you going, Pauline?
I'm good, and you? I'm just going to grab a battery while one of you guys can have a turn at chatting.
so Nathan, give us our Victoria report, mate. How's the week been?
Yeah, it's been all right. We had a pretty massive swell on Sunday. Got to about over 10 foot at Bells and all that Sunday morning, but it was a pretty messy swell and only the very keen.
Did you get out there?
Nah, I didn't. Probably I didn't suck it up, but no. Even after Maddie's rev up last week, me and Ben, we both didn't get in the water. So
Oh, Ben didn't go out either.
I don't think he did, no.
Oh dear. And I noticed there's no I noticed you got your background on this week, mate. No Richmond flags in the background. What's going on there?
Oh, I can take it off if you want to see the Richmond.
I think Cookie never got a chance to rub it in last week because he had his
I should put that in the background,
we didn't realise till after the show was over that Cookie had his swans jumper in the background. It would have been perfect. But Nathan, did you get a chance to see Pauline ripping it up at the pool?
I didn't see Pauline at the pool, but obviously I've seen the movie and yeah, I've just found it absolutely unreal, like so inspirational. And yeah, just to see the conditions and everything and how the women were treated during that era, like it's just gone in leaps and bounds in now's days. And yeah, it's just so good to see, and they really deserve, equal pay and the exposure that they get. They just deserve it. And like even last week in the comp, like to see Carissa Moore pull that air, like I think it was in the comp. Yeah, I was like,
yeah, how good was that?
It was proper.
Incredible.
The thing, Pauline, and again, you're an elite level athlete, you're probably sitting there watching it, thinking the same thing. When she landed that air, she just stopped and was like, oh my goodness, look at that. And I think 6 months down the track, they'll be landing them and going into the next turn and no one will bat an eyelid. The progression of the women's performances have been incredible. But it's that whole cart before the horse thing, like you said. If the prize money's not there, then there's no ability to leave your job to focus on full-time training to maximize the performance. And it's all sort of a big circle, isn't it? So you have to have the talent, but you also have to have the money. And what do you reckon that balance is? Because the performances of our women's surfers these days is massive. How big of a factor do you think it is, and you'd obviously know better than me, how many of them are in that situation where they don't require another job to go and do? How many of them are free just to train and become a full-time elite athlete that they are?
Well, the amazing thing is this is again something we said a long time ago, and that's if you give us what we need to become really top athletes, we will become top athletes. And it's absolutely perfect. Like now you're seeing the latest 14-year-old kids, they're doing all them. They're doing air 360s, backhand 360s. They're doing every single thing that the guys can do. And it's something we've been saying for a long time. If you treat the women the same way you're treating the men, they will surf as good as the men. And it's happening. It's already happening. Like, what's Josh Kerr's daughter's name again? It's on the tip of my tongue.
Sienna.
Yeah. I'm having a brain drain too.
Sienna?
Erica.
Anyway, she's busting airs, reverses all the time. And, so that just goes to show you that if we get the support we're supposed to, just like the guys, they'll be surfing as good as them.
I'm a West Australian, and I remember the whole she surfs all right for a girl thing. And everyone used to say, oh, yeah, wait until the waves get overhead and all the rest of it. And I've admired Jodie Cooper from afar for a long, long time. And 95% of men I've met surfing who say those sort of comments would never even consider paddling out in the waves that Jodie used to froth on. Of course, other good friends of mine, Claire Bevilacqua, she's been busting airs for years. She loved the former pipe master. She's a good friend of mine. And then, of course, the Macaulay girls and Felicity Parmentier. So, of course, I've got nothing but respect. And, a good surfer's a good surfer these days. And I don't think we're that far away from just having a surfing event, particularly with all the paddling, hassling being taken out a long time ago now with the priority system and things. I don't think we're very far away from it just being a surf comp. What would be your comments on that, Nance? Can you see that happening in our lifetimes where it's just a surf comp and you rock up and best surfer wins?
I don't know if we're going to have professional surfing coming. From what I know, which isn't that much, but I think the gentleman, the billionaire that's been footing all the money, I think he's pow. I think he's finished. And this thing they're doing at Trestles is going to be the finale, but there could be someone behind the scenes that's going to buy and take over.
Why are they taking losses, Pauline? What? I mean, it's an exciting sport. There's so many people who are passionate about it. There's a lot of people who want to attach themselves to surfing who are never going to go for a surf.
But the guy hasn't been making any money from it.
That's the point. Why not? You've got such an attractive sport. I mean, it's out there outdoors, a beautiful ocean. You've got a fit and healthy athletes. It's got so many positive connotations to it, and people want to attach.
I don't think it ever has, though. It never really has as an organisation. Like the ASP often was struggling with money. But now with, I guess, with what's going on in the world, it's a really hard time for everybody in every sport. And it's not just because he's run out of money now. It's just really bad timing, I suppose.
And of course, a tour that relies so heavily, or a sport that relies so heavily on traveling the world, is obviously going to have been taking a bit of a tough time, and will continue to do so over the next couple of years at least. So that brings us to another question then. Having just recently been to the Tullamarine Tub, Pauline, if there was to be 20 of those, 50 of those wave pools around the world, and you could have like a competition, they had an equal setting at each of the pools around the world. Could you see that being a situation where no one has to travel anywhere? You get to surf the exact same wave at a different location?
Oh, it would be awesome. Like, it is such a good wave, but you still need the ocean, I think, and they need to like still work on those pools a little bit more to get that different variety. Like, for instance, we did the advanced turn setting and we really liked it, but we got bored. We got bored after, when it hit, I think it was like 30 minutes. We're like, oh, hurry up and put on the tube setting because this is getting boring. So
what standards of surfers did you have with you? Were they all your standard of surfers, or was there a few beginners in them?
Yeah, actually it was a celebration of my 50th birthday, so it was delayed thanks to COVID, so it happened 8 months later. But everyone came. There was like Jodie and Pam and Beck Woods, Nicola Atherton, Kim Woodridge, Serena Brooke, like tons of, I think there was about 23 women there, and
would have been like a Masters
friends.
Series QS or something.
What's that?
Would have been like a Masters Series QS comp.
Yeah. And then I had a few locals from down Bells, like Sophie Marshall, Brooke Farris, Angela Zorica. And it was just so good, like so good that everyone said it was like one of the best days in their lives, because it was just something so new and different and exciting, and just nice to all reconnect again. It's an absolutely fantastic place to have your birthday.
Well, I'm 50 in June. I've already been hinting to a few people that that's where we should go.
Yeah, well, we booked out the whole pool, and so normally they have about 18 people on each side of the pool, and we only had, on the advanced setting, I think we had 14 on one side and like 3 on the other, because you have to think about who you invite, because if you invite people, I had a few like learners and then intermediate and stuff. So we did 2 different hours, and we had an intermediate and an advanced setting, but the intermediate surfers didn't want to go on the advanced. And so it's a good idea if you're bringing people to bring kind of the same, level of surfing people if you want to get the whole pool.
I heard that not all surf wax works in that pool, Pauline. What wax did you use?
My wax had no problem at all. It was Huey's choice. Absolutely best wax on the market. It's actually the only wax I've ever used that you don't have to go back in and re-wax up. Like you can be out in the water for hours and hours and hours and it just still stays grippy.
I was super excited when I found out that, along with Margot, of course, yourself became a member of the Hughes Choice team and helped to actually say, look, that's the formula we want. And yeah, the durability is important. But no, I've just had a few people, Claire Bevel Aqua and in fact Kira from the show, have been to the pool and said that the wax stays on good. So I thought I'd throw that in there. That's how I get paid, Pauline. I mention the wax each week and it's all sweet for the editing and stuff. So guys, sorry. Maddie, did you have something to jump in with there? I thought, who did I just cut off?
No, actually, I was going to say I tried to get Pam on the show tonight, Pauline, but it's actually Mark's birthday today. So,
oh, yeah, they're eating pizza, I see.
Yeah. She couldn't come on, but she would have loved to, you know.
So let's bring a longboarding element into this. Pauline, have you ever ridden a 9-foot board?
I have, but I can't turn them very good.
That makes me so happy to hear. It's the number of friends I had who were very do you know Brett Hardy at all? Do you meet him in Margaret River? He was one. He always used to get through the wild card and make it to the main event at Margaret River.
Oh, yeah.
But Brett Hardy, really good stuff, and he used to give me such a hard time. And one day I threw my 9-footer at him at Scarborough and said, "Look, do a turn or shut up." And I think from there on in, he developed a lot of respect for the longboard. But do you have many longboarding friends? It seems to be there's a lot of people now that don't wait until they're old and decrepit before they get on a mal. They actually ride them from an early age, especially on the east coast. Do you have many?
Well, being around Byron Bay, I've got a lot of friends that ride longboards. But yeah, I don't discriminate against who I surf with. I surf with anyone really, as long as you're having a good time.
Hey, just remember what show you're on, Pauline. So that young lady.
And just remember though, no sharing waves.
Yeah, I was going to say that lady that shared the wave with you recently, was she on a longboard by any chance?
She was.
Yeah, the sharing is caring. I'm not going to wear a leg rope crew.
Yeah.
So where do you think, where's the next step then? Where do you think, so I think it's safe to say that everyone's dropped the for a woman thing. Is there still, because, you know, a top end female surfer these days is as good as anyone. And the gap between the absolute elite men, the best of the best, who are on millions of dollars a year to train every day, and that's all they do. And that gap to the women's pure performances has tightened so dramatically. In longboard surfing, I'd quite happy to say right now that you could just have a world tour longboarding event with the current criteria, and because it's taken away that focus towards physicality and, you know, overpowering the board and power, those things that, okay, on average men are going to be more able to do because of body mass and all the rest of it. I think because of the criteria, women and men now can just compete on an even platform. But where is there work left to be done, Pauline, do you think, with the women's
tour?
Yeah,
I don't think it will be fair when it comes to paddling, because a woman would not be able to out paddle a man. So, and that's not fair if it comes down to paddling. If you've got a jet ski and it's just only on surfing, I think in another 4 or 5 years there'll be definitely an even playing field. But yeah, if it comes to paddling, you can't have someone that's way stronger than another compete against each other, you know.
Well, one of the benefits I see with the wave pool is the fact that you could have men and women on an equal platform there, because you're all taking your turn. It's all going to be pretty much the same wave. The bottom's the same.
Do they have jogging battles, Nath?
Pardon?
They have jogging battles, like a paddle battle, but at the wave pool.
They do.
Yeah,
A little bit.
cut in lines and everything, but like any comp that we've run in there, it's all based on like this is your turn, But you get the odd person that'll try and snake in, and our job at the pool is to make sure that people aren't doing that.
But for a comp,
it's amazing that when the lifeguard goes.
Sorry. Oh really? Like the lifeguard left you to it, did he?
Yeah, no, when they go, everyone starts being naughty very quickly. So you need to definitely have someone in the water.
Yeah. Some people.
This is hang on. This is at a 50th birthday party with a bunch of former pro
Embody.
surfers, and there was hassling and snaking going on.
No, I went in the day before. I went into like the public, just I paid for an hour the day before, and I was just with the general public. And there is people that try and cut in front of you.
Well, did you get any crew in the public one that will like not go the last wave in the set and they'll wait for the first one? No one was doing that.
Well, they said you're not allowed to let waves go by, but
Oh,
I was lucky. You know how I said that we actually booked the whole pool out? Well, because it was my birthday, I was always going, I want the first or second wave.
Whatever wave you want.
So I was just letting heaps of the girls go past, and then I'd wait for the next two waves.
Is there a trick to it? Is there like a best set wave or?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I'm not going to tell anyone. They can work it out.
Classic.
No, it is normally the first couple of waves because it gets a bit, there's a lot more water moving around the pool, so it gets a bit messier as the waves go on. And I don't know if it's exactly right, but I just found most times I got on the second wave, that was always a really nice wave.
The second one I think is the best too, Pauline. That's the best one. Second or third?
Giving away lots
the first one on the tube setting, I got absolutely hammered. I got held underwater for so long. I was really happy I had my Gath helmet on, and everyone was like just ready. The lifeguard was ready to come and get me, and our crew that would just come to watch were just going, "Oh my God, is she all right?" And then I popped up, and I didn't think you could get such a bad wipe out at a pool.
You get like slammed into the bottom, or just sort of held on?
No, it just kept me in the one spot underwater. I could not get up.
It likes throwing you around, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Here in WA, we've got one of those standing wave ones where it just squirts water over like a little wall, and the wipeouts on those things are insane. You get slammed worse than I ever have in the ocean. Nancy Emerson, have you ever been in a wave pool? There's a few getting around the place these days. I know they had one in Florida a long time ago, and Japan and all the rest of it.
No, I remember driving by the one in Arizona, which was the very first one they ever made, but it looked too boring, so I went dancing instead.
Some of those early attempts at wave pools were pretty shoddy. I like the look of the one at Yeppoon. I think that's a good little model because of the various breaks around the place.
Yeah, that looks really fun. Definitely.
I think it's the way of the future. But obviously tonight we're talking about Girls Can't Surf. Pauline, how long's the run at the cinemas? How long is it going to be available for? And is there a plan to make it available online, or can people buy a DVD or something? Because it's the sort of thing I think a lot of people have already said to me, take your daughter, take your daughter and take your son, because it's also a good way to demonstrate to the boys the injustices and the unfairness that sometimes goes unacknowledged.
This is like one of those movies that are just iconic, and I really believe it's going to be one of those iconic films for a long, long time. And it's like most things that go to the movies, if you don't go watch it, they just pull it. So the more people that go see it, the longer it will stay around. I think around in New South Wales, it's not going to be on much longer. It's already been out for about a month. So if you want to see it, you don't have much time left.
And I've also had a friend say that in fact, it might have been Nathan. One of the boys last week was saying they went to watch the movie and the whole cinema was just packed with girls. So if you like me, if you like meeting lots of girls, it's a good idea as well, right?
Sure is.
Shows you're a sensitive new age guy at the same time. But I know again, Matt Cook is. We had a similar discussion the other week about the hurdles that are put in front of pro surfers when there's no, it's hard to have that professional level of performance without having that professional level of financial support. With the changes to the sport, obviously COVID having its impact, a lot of sectors of the surf industry have had their best 12 months in a long, long time. Especially, here in WA, people that would normally go to Bali every winter, now they've had to buy a wetsuit this year because they've never been here for the cold for years, so there's a lot of extra money being spent within the system. But when you see things like John's contract being terminated, suspended, whatever, and then taking into account that he's probably going to go and accept less money than perhaps he's worth because he'd rather deal with a company that has good ethics and morals rather than purely the bottom dollar. Where do you think we're going with pro surfing? Is it kind of going to stabilize? Is it going to have to go through a bit of a tough time, or is it still strong and stable? And if so, there's a young lady out there watching today, she's considering a pro surfing career. What would be your advice based on the current set of circumstances we face?
You know what? I think it's really unknown for a lot of us. If it was normal non-COVID time, I'd say it's still really strong. It just transitions, like most sports, it goes through a transition, and maybe if it's not WSL people, it's another lot of people come along and grab it. I still think it'll always be there, but it's how we all handle this COVID crisis, really, I think.
Definitely interesting times. But so as an elder statesperson of the sport now, what's not being done that should be being done? As far as, there's always things we can improve on across the board. Alternatively, what's something that's being done really, really well at the moment that you're stoked to see?
So my own personal thing is, I think I really loved that when we were on tour, everyone fought to surf as a surfer and sell surfing. I'm a little bit disappointed that it seems to be turned around to a little bit more sex selling surfing. And, you can't tell me it's comfortable to surf with a swimsuit up your bum. So, when I see things like that, I just think it's a real pity that people aren't themselves. So, my thing would be
sorry to butt in on over top of you, but I was having a bit of a chat with Robin Harvey about this exact point. Surfers remain unnameless in the Crescent Head area at the moment. What do you think that does to all the hard work that you ladies have done? Nance, chime in on this as well. Having to struggle so long to be taken seriously and not just be TNA for the cameras, you know what I mean, but to actually be taken seriously as an athlete. How does it then feel to see some of these? And frankly, I think these girls are exploiting themselves, and the parents are allowing these young teenage girls, some of these photos and stuff that go up on these Instagram accounts and stuff that have nothing to do with surfing, but everything to show off every slip.
Well,
is that empowering, or is it
that's the point? Well, that's the point I was getting to, is that I really believe it's very important for people to be you, just be yourself. And really, if you're yourself and you're not worried about influencing or impressing, if you're yourself, you don't do those things. So my message has been, since the movie's been released, anytime I put anything on Insta, I try to tell, especially young girls, just be you, be who you are. Don't be something else. Insta's kind of created, it's great for a lot of things and it's bad for a lot of things. Like, it's created this fake lifestyle of beauty, that everything's perfect, and everything's far from perfect. So my advice would be, just be yourself, try and find more Instagram followers that are themselves, and not worry about this fake world that people are living in.
I think some of the Hawaiian girls do it really well. Obviously, we're more longboarding focused, but seeing people like Kira Seal, and she goes for a surf with her friend Sarah Lee, and they're just going surfing and they get some photos. You know what I mean? You're still going to get random creeps on the internet going, "Oh, look at you in your bikini," but what they show is you can be a strong, confident, happy within yourself human being, and not be going, like throwing it all out there.
Yes, exactly.
How is that balance nowadays with the sponsors, as far as, are they looking for contest results? Are they looking for Instagram followers? Are they looking for likes and clicks? What's that balance like, as far as, can you get by on pure performance these days, or is there still a lot of...
So, Silvana Lima now, she just basically is always filming her life, just a day in the life of her and her girlfriend. And, she's in Brazil. She's got a lot of followers. It looks like she's got a lot of sponsors. I don't know if she's got a lot of money, but she's always doing ads and stuff like that. And she's doing really well without, dressing up to such, like, not being herself, basically. So, and Steph Gilmore, like, she's pretty much herself. And look how she's just like the ultimate perfect marketing person.
Steph's amazing on every level. I love her to death. Has she overtaken your record yet, or your position on the rankings? Because you had 20 wins on the WCT tour, And
Yeah, 20 wins and 8 QSs. I'm not sure.
the only person who had better stats than you up until recently was Lane Beachley. So I guess Steph's the only other one who's going to be anywhere near your stats.
Yeah, well, to me, she's like the most amazing surfer of all time. Absolutely all time. Like, she's just so good and so humble as well.
And you know why? It's because she rides a longboard as well, Pauline. Got to get you on the
I'd
nine.
need another hip before I can ride a longboard. That's actually one of the reasons I couldn't use it. Is I've had a bad hip for most of my career and finally got it fixed when I retired. And then I was blown away at how long I put up with a bad hip. I was like, oh my God, I should have done this years ago.
Wow, that's another incredible thing as well. The amount of exposure to injury that surfers have just in the process of learning to surf at the local surf break before you even start taking on 20-foot Hawaiian craziness. Nance, what's the best thing you've seen change in women's surfing? We're getting close to having to wrap up, by the way. We've hit the hour mark, but we can go as long as you guys want to go. But I just sort of trying to sort of wrap it all up with a sort of an inspirational message, or maybe a message of learning, maybe words of wisdom for people to think about.
I think it's really important that, people don't have to struggle. They can, I come from way different generation from Pauline, and I didn't have any struggles, I don't think, ever. And I think it's really important that parents, they really care about their children and not be some soccer mom or soccer dad, and be supportive. But a lot of times, it's like parents that push the little 5-year-old girls to be beauty queens, and that's not necessary. I think it's important that people, like Pauline said earlier, people need to learn how to swim, know how to swim, and not be thinking a surf leash is gonna, save them. And they need to learn about how to read the ocean. I've run my surf schools internationally for 42 years now, and so many people, they don't learn etiquette at probably 98% of the surf schools around the world. They don't know how to read the ocean, and they get out there, and it's like, people don't realize, they just think they're on the 405 in California and they're just going for it. And it's, there is etiquette, and that's why at home in Hawaii and parts of California, we share, respect. And what I've seen in the last couple of weeks when the borders open, it's like crazy here. It's, we'll just go surf this spot or this spot to stay away from the people, because people aren't learning respect and etiquette. And it's so
respect
easy.
And etiquette.
Pardon?
I said respect and etiquette, Nancy. She's right. That's a very valid point, and especially pardon me for leaping in, but about your comment about the parents, because just this weekend I saw a dad take 2 kids down in front of my house on the coast, Gold Coast, and my wife was out surfing, and the guy just said, go out and get them, guys. And they're under 13, and they paddled up and mouthed off to her and told her to move off the peak and stuff. And I'm just like going, okay.
That's actually
bad behavior by the parent, really, first of all.
Concerning trend, Mike, is like, it's not just lack of parenting, it's actually some active bad parenting going on.
No, you're right. They were coached, and that's out of line, man. I mean, that isn't happening. And they're going to grow up, and then they're going to like breed other little rats like that.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of glad I wasn't in the water at the time, like smacking 13-year-old kids around.
And then the parents be the first ones to get to scream abuse and go running off to the cops if you actually said anything to them. Much less
lawyer. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I remember when I was a kid, Trig Point, getting a few of those.
You get a clip over the ear. Yeah, that's the whole grommet thing. Yeah, that's where we learn. Like the respect came from actually being in the water and being taught by the older people.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, well, actually, most of the longboarding kids are pretty respectful, but of course, when you got a 9-footer coming at your head, it kind of makes you slow down and keep an eye on things as well. But I have noticed an alarming trend of the people that haven't come through a surf school, they haven't come from a surf club, they haven't competed, they've just kind of started surfing, and they go and buy a 50-kilo old mal and paddle out with no leg rope and think they can just jump on the best wave of the day at Watergoes or whatever, and wonder why people look at them in a bad way. How about you, Cookie? Did you down at Shark Island? How's the etiquette been with the reopening of the borders?
Well, I guess, times have changed. I mean, Pauline would know in Bondi in the 90s, if someone didn't like you, they'd come over and just punch you or kick you or everything. I'm sure, Pauline, you probably would have copped some sort of.
Before you came on, she was telling us she got kicked when she was a grommet.
All of the above.
Yeah. So like nowadays, I mean, I remember getting hit at Cronulla Point for dropping in, and I was only really young. But nowadays, there's no way that you can do anything that's sort of similar to what growing up happened to me. For the fear of the police, and you'd be locked up for doing some of the stuff that happened to me nowadays. So I don't know how it's going to change. The younger kids will paddle straight up inside you and take the first wave they want. What can we do as a community?
The only thing I think that could happen that can possibly change it is to actually have a license to surf. Unfortunately, yes, because
I was actually about to say the same thing, because
how else?
If you can't self-regulate, if we can't have that fear of retribution, which used to keep us in line, then all you can have is external regulation. And look, you can't go snow skiing and just chuck on a set of snow skis that you hired at the hire shop and go down whichever run you want. You know what I mean? When you go and hire, you go and hire a go-kart, you start off in the slow one, and you've got to prove that you can drive the slow one. You go on the medium, then the advanced. And
the people that, like you said, they're going out in the surf, like at Brunswick Heads is a perfect example. And you got this nasty bar, and you'll see people paddling, and I'm already watching them paddle, and I'm like, oh my God, they're going out the bar. And it's just like rescue for nothing, because they're not taught by even other people around them. Like, it's not good for you today. You shouldn't go out there. You know what I mean? And people are too scared to even tell them, like, because they're going to get yelled at if you just tell them, like, it's not safe for you. And so, even if it's not, maybe it's not necessarily a license, but before you buy a surfboard, maybe they can give you a sheet of paper and it says this is how it works when you go surfing or something.
I'm a big believer that certain places, like Trig Point, that's like the only half decent wave you might be able to do 3 turns on in the Perth metropolitan area. Don't take your 10-year-old who goes in a straight line out there. I can see a situation where you have beginners, medium, advanced, same as you have a swimming area with the flags. But I personally would much rather that everyone just self-regulates. And a lot of places in WA, we have the rules, but I chose to live in a town with 600 people where probably about 100 surf, and we can drive along the beach, and you can drive up and down and choose where to park and surf where there's no other people. Not everyone has that ability. So maybe a license to surf a different break depending on skill level would, maybe it's the thing we'll see in the not too distant future. Pauline, I'm really, really stoked to have you on the show, mate. Not quite as stoked as Cookie. He still hasn't been able to wipe the smile off his face, but it's been really great and inspirational to talk to you. I really look forward to seeing the movie as soon as I can get down to the big smoke where they actually have cinemas. And I'll definitely be buying a copy as soon as it's available for sale to the general public as well. Anyone else on the panel, including you, Mike Perry? You've been around in surfing longer than I have. You got any final questions for the ladies? Take advantage of having a couple of champs on the show.
Well, it's a pleasure to talk to Pauline finally. I've watched her surfing in person and on film for years and years and years. And I thought that she overcame a lot of adversity as well as personally. Like, she was challenged because she was a woman, but challenged because her body was fighting her. And I'm really impressed by you, Pauline. You're an amazing human. But Nancy, I love Nancy. She's, of course, Nancy was royalty at my beach when I grew up. She was too cool to be talked to by a little grommy like me. although I was older than she. And it's great to see that this sort of form exists. I mean, maybe in a Pollyanna world, we can all push a little bit of this positivity across. So thank you for presenting this sort of event. I mean, I've never even been on any of this stuff before, and it's cool, really cool.
Well, you're an authorized Zoom user now, mate. So we might have to get we'll have to have the Mike Perry episode, because your surfing career spanned many decades as well. Cookie, any final thoughts?
Oh, just like I listen to the girls in the surf down here at Cronulla. I run surfing events down here, and what I hear about the movie and how much they loved it, and just their whole attitude now, and just how stoked they are. And like, I just feel like what you've done in that movie is just more than just, I don't know how to put it. It's like, it's bigger than surfing. It's so amazing. And I think you really have changed a lot of people's lives in what they think they can do. And yeah, when I heard you were going to be on the show, I was just so stoked. And I've never been like all that embarrassed to be on the show, but tonight I really felt like, oh my gosh, it's Pauline Menczer. I was like so happy that you're on this show. And I don't know how to actually, like, in words, like explain like what I'm seeing with all the girls down here, but it's
I think it's true, like what you're saying, and even feeling your emotion now. That's what I've been getting from people, from just writing messages to me, how they've been so inspired. And even when I've done Q&As, like I've had quite a few people come up, and like one in particular made me really go, wow. It was like a 14-year-old boy that said, oh, I'm really only interested in like Sally Fitzgibbons and Lane Beachley because that's all I've met. And he said, now I've watched that movie, I just want to see everyone surf. And then he said, he took a photo of his mum standing next to me. He said, seriously, I haven't seen my mum have a genuine smile for over 2 years. And then I'm getting messages of people going, I just watched the movie and I want to go work out and do yoga or go to the gym or it's just really, really nice to hear. And getting messages from parents who have children that are gay, or people who also have autoimmune disease. They're all just like, thank you for inspiring us, thank you for paving the way. And it's nice to know that you can share your story and people get so much from it. And so, that's what I said to Christopher Newlis. I said, thanks to you, you've opened up a whole world for so many people, and telling our story in the right way and so honestly is it's very inspiring for everybody.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's unreal.
Joining us now from the Sunshine Coast, having just finished her touch footy match, our Noosa correspondent, Kira Molnar. She really did not want to miss this show tonight. So welcome along, Kira. How's the sunny coast?
Hey, it's pretty hot and sweaty now, but I think that's just me.
So we've got Pauline and Nancy Emerson with us as well.
Awesome. So nice to meet you, ladies.
Hi.
Aloha.
As well as being the Pro Tour competitor, Kira is also our resident health and wellness expert, and she's flat out with 20 different jobs in physical training and surf coaching. Kira, you're probably at the receiving end of the work that these ladies have put in for the decades before you. Can you explain to Pauline how the sort of effect it's had watching the stateswomen of the sport progress over the years?
Yeah, it's been amazing, just like the progression and everything, and even to where we have like equal pay now is unreal. And I know it's still been a long time. I mean, I think it was 2018 that we were able to have that as well. So I know it must have taken a lot of effort to get to that, and especially what you girls went through too. So I'm like so grateful for everything that you've done for the sport, and it's amazing to watch it, grow and just seeing that we could get to that too. So
yeah, it's so exciting watching the new generation come through and getting all those things that the boys did. So now the girls are getting the same kind of treatment. The young girls are just absolutely shredding. And that's what I was saying earlier tonight, that give it 4 or 5 more years, I think they're going to be surfing pretty much on par with the men.
Yeah. It'll be men and women heats soon.
Yes. I've actually had 2 heats so far in my life, Pauline, that have had a woman in the heat. Guess what happened in both of those heats?
She won.
I got knocked both times. Actually, 3 times, because Samantha Vanderford did it to me as well many years ago. Actually, Nancy, I can't let you go without saying g'day from Grant and Kylie Aikenhead as well. Every time I mention your name, they're like, "Oh, tell Nancy we said g'day." So there's
Kylie and Grant, aloha.
And so, we're almost towards the end. Well, we are past the end of the show. Nathan and Kira, you guys have had the least to say, so we'll give Sean the last word because he'll tell us what's happening next week. But have you guys got anything further to say before we have to wrap up? 2 youngsters who can't get here on time.
You like
I just wanted to say, yeah, thanks so much for coming on, ladies, and Mike as well. But yeah, like surfing wouldn't be in the and the women's surfing wouldn't be in the place and in the safe hands that it is. Excuse me. These days without how much you guys did and how much effort you put in. So thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for what you guys have done for the sport, and yeah, real trailblazers and really inspiring what you guys have done. So thank you.
Thank you for saying that. That's
Thank
sweet.
you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thank you for the work you've done.
I think Nathan basically said it all, really. Thank you so much. And like being a female in the sport, it's amazing to have the same opportunities as everyone, really. It's unreal. And I know like longboarding, shortboarding, it's all growing, every single sort of surfing sport. And thank you so much for, allowing women to be as equal as the men. And yeah, thank you.
And
Pleasure.
I think to a certain extent, the 1 minute mile factor comes into it. You know how no one could run the 1 minute mile until someone did, and then everyone can do it. And I think, women can't be pro surfers until they could. And then that becomes the belief, that becomes a reality, so that the next generation can go, hey, someone's doing that, so I can do that. It's very hard and very brave and takes a lot of effort to be that groundbreaker. And so congratulations for being in that category. And I think I truly hope that the women of today can repay you guys somehow with gratitude and thanks for paving the way for them, because the belief is there now. And with Carissa Moore, now the girls know that they can land air reverses in comps and get big scores, and all the teenagers will start doing it next week, and then a couple of months later you'll be down at every beach and they'll all be popping them off left, right and centre. So you've got a lot to be proud for, Pauline, and Nance even before that, and of course Phyllis even before that. We're lucky to be associated with such groundbreaking, brave women of our sport. Sean, who have we got on next week, mate? Is it going to be as inspirational as this?
It is, but before I tell you who's going to be on next week, I want to tell you a story of how we were totally equal in New Zealand many years ago. You know how cold it can be in NZ? You come out of the water, you come up the path, you're in a paddock and there's fresh cow patties everywhere. It was not unusual to see the girls warming their feet up in a nice hot cow patty. We would let them do that as well. But that
was generous of you.
That was really thrown in there, wasn't it?
I've been waiting all night for that one.
I'll put you on Brady Bunch mode, so we're all on the screen at the same time now, so no picking your noses and things. But Sean, that was well worth the wait, though, mate. That was.
So next week, we're going to have the 1988 World Longboard Champion on, Andy McKinnon, talking about what he's been up to.
Unreal. 1988 was a pretty special year. That was Pauline Menczer won the women's amateur world title. Barton Lynch won the men's shortboard, and Andy McKinnon won the men's longboard. Actually, we haven't had Barton on the show yet either, but the 88 world champ. So, but anyway, look, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, Nancy. Great to see you again. Pauline, it's great to talk to you in person finally. And fantastic to see the surfing you've been doing. Nathan, make sure you let work know we've spent at least 7 air minutes on talking about the Tullamarine pool again tonight. So I'm still jealous. Kira's been to the pool, Pauline. I haven't, so I'm not allowed yet. But on behalf of our viewers, thank you very much, ladies, for joining us tonight and giving us some valuable insight. I'm sure we'll have some questions from our viewing audience, so hopefully we can ask you to maybe check in on our Facebook page and answer some of those questions as they appear. And welcome you to our circle of love. Pauline, we'll get you out on that 9-footer a couple more times yet. It's,
Cool.
so you can just go straight. You don't have to do turns. That's the wonderful thing.
I do that well. I do that really well. I actually went and got myself a 9-foot male, but I think it was too straight, or I'm just an absolute kook.
No, it was bad shape. It was bad shape. Bad shape. Anyhow, so next week, yeah, the big Mac man himself, 35 years or so, wasn't he, as the surf reporter on the Gold Coast, and as a former world champion of our sport, he'll have a lot of stories to tell. I look forward to that as much as I've looked forward to tonight. And ladies, you certainly didn't disappoint. If you haven't already done so, get along and see Girls Can't Surf, and support at your local cinemas, and tell your family and friends to get along. It sounds like, well, everyone who I've spoken to who's seen it, no one said anything but positive things. So if you want to be inspired, you want to inspire perhaps a young lady in your life on how she can overcome some adversities, or any other person who has some adversities they think might seem insurmountable, what we have here before us is proof positive that with tenacity and a strong will to succeed, you can get there and get it done. And Pauline, best of luck with that Pemphigus business you had saying about arthritis of the skin. That sounds horrible, but hopefully you're getting all the help you need with that as well. And if we can be of any further support in that regard, and doing the good things. Unfortunately, that don't ask about the GoFundMe thing. That's already done and dusted. We would have loved to have supported that, Pauline. But if you have any of those sort of initiatives coming up, please let us know. And,
I actually do have one thing.
Perfect.
One thing. All the crew in Bondi are trying to get the Bondi Council to do a statue of me at Bondi Beach.
Yes.
So if anyone can write to them or push for it, that would be great, because the more that they hear that the general public want that, the more likely it is to happen.
And what a great thing that'd be for all the young ladies going surfing to see there on the as they hit the water. A reminder what you can achieve if you put your mind to it.
Yeah, like they say in the movie, if you can't see it, you can't be it. And I think if kids can see that and see, I came from having nothing to being world champion with an illness, that is like the best way to inspire kids. So, and there's only 10% of statues in Australia are women, the rest are all men. So it's time there's a few more women up.
So is there a website or anything for that? Is like,
No, not that I know of, but yeah, like it's just Waverley Council.
Send a letter to Waverley Council. We'll get we'd have to get Matty Chinosky on it. He'd have some juice down there, wouldn't he?
No? I reckon. Surely.
But look, we better wrap it up. We're almost half an hour over time. Again, as is always the case when we have these wonderful, interesting guests on, we could go another hour and a half pretty easily. Is that Mrs. Molnar in the background, or is that one of your teammates?
Yeah, that's the other people playing basketball on the other fields. Sorry.
So turn the camera around and show us your teammates. They can be on the show as well.
Oh, anyway, they're all over. They turn the lights off on the field.
It's great that you could sneak in for those last couple of minutes, Kira. It's great to see your smiling face as always. Nath, you still need a haircut, mate, but good to get you chiming in. Me and Sean, we're pretty good, and Matthew's hiding his, so we're all good to go. Mike Perry, mate, we're going to get you back in a few weeks' time by the sound of things to talk to us about the art of weather prediction and modification, maybe. I don't know. We'll talk about that more over the next coming weeks. But on behalf of the Oz Longboarding team, I've been Weeksy, and we look forward to having your company next week for episode 7, where Andy Mack joins us to tell us what he's been up to with all of his different adventures. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Wave to your mums. We'll see you all next week on Oz Longboarding.
All right. Thank you very much, crew.